You're listening to the Cryptid Crew Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Childers. Before we get started, if you've had an encounter or an experience or just something unexplained, click on the link tree in the description and share your encounter. Thank you for listening to the Cryptid Crew Podcast. On this episode of the Cryptid Crew Podcast, I have the privilege of introducing founder of the Western North Carolina Bigfoot Festival and Bigfoot 911 research team founder, John Bruner. John, thank you for joining the show.
And thank you for having me, Mark. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you on here, and been looking forward to this as well. How is everything going in North Carolina?
Everything is going good. We're doing some really good research right now and having some good results. And so everything's going good.
That's awesome. Tell everyone how you got started or interested in Bigfoot.
Well, actually, I had my first Bigfoot experience when I was 12 years old. It was on my family owned a bunch of land, and it was on there. And now I didn't know at the time that it was a Bigfoot, but I knew I had some strange experiences with wood knocks. And of course, later on in the 1980s, Matt Moneymaker would figure out that Bigfoot used tree knocks as a way of communication. So, knowing now what I knew, what I didn't know back then, I was having interactions with Bigfoot. I just didn't know exactly what it was at the time. And so once I figured out in about the early 80s that I was dealing with a Bigfoot type creature, I started doing research. And, there wasn't a lot of books, a lot of programs or nothing. So a lot of my research is based on what I did, not what I learned from books or anything. It's more of what I did.
Right. Where did that encounter happen at such a young age?
That encounter happened in Marion, North Carolina, where I live. And my grandpa owned a lot of land, and back then it was wooded acres. It's developed now, but back then it was just woods as far as you could see.
Right. How long did it take you to realize what had happened? How many, was it years or days or months?
Well, actually, when that happened, I went to my grandmother's house, and I asked her if there was anything strange happened over there. They used to live over there where this happened on this. And she asked me where I was at, and I said, well, I was down in the old pasture. And, my grandmother said, you don't need to be over there. There's something in them woods. Your papa thought he ran it out, and you just don't need to be over there. But she never would tell me what it was. They used to just say that it was the booger man. So, being 12 years old, you hear that, you think it's the devil. They're talking about the devil. But actually, it was a Bigfoot creature, and they called it the booger man.
And after that, did you, as a teenager or young adult, start to dive into it a little bit?
I did, and my area expanded out into other parts of the county and actually other parts of the state, because I figured out that they weren't just in California, they were here too. And so I started, gathering evidence. I have tons of composition books of notes that I took over the years. And all of that is really helping me and Bigfoot 911 out now as we pursue very serious research in several different areas at this time.
Right. I tell you what, tell the listeners or fill them in on Bigfoot 911 research team and what you guys do, and what kind of tactics do you use when you go out into the woods to do an investigation?
Okay. For the majority of my research time, it was just strictly me because, up until maybe 15 years ago, Bigfoot was taboo. You didn't talk about it. If you talk about it, people made fun of you. And I had a lot of people make fun of me. And it really didn't dissuade me any in what I was trying to do. And in 2015, me and my three sons developed a team and we named it Bigfoot. We started doing research, and over the years, the team has grown. And I have a team that is stationed here in Marion, but I also have teams in Mount Holly, North Carolina, Sparta, North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, Midlands, South Carolina. So it's really expanded out into the Carolinas as far as research goes.
How often do you guys get activity when you go on a search? Whether it be vocalizations or tree knocks or finding evidence or that kind of thing?
Well, I will tell you this. I've been out more times and nothing happened than I have when something good happens. But the areas that we concentrate on, we generally have some good interaction because in the area that we have for a research area, there is a family unit that stays in there year round. They don't migrate. They stay in this area year round, and we generally have pretty good interaction with them.
Right. Does that, do you typically get some type of response to any kind of wood knocks or howls or anything like that?
We will do wood knocks. Now I don't do howls, and I'll tell you why. Because Bigfoot creatures are very intelligent, and they can tell that that's not another Bigfoot howling at them. Now we have done call blasting before, but we didn't use Bigfoot sounds. We used like phone, deer sounds, things like that. We would call blast those. We were doing that one night about 3 years ago and got a bluff charge out of it. We was using a wounded phone as a call blast and got a bluff charge out of it.
That's pretty smart. That's pretty amazing too, as well, because that's going to be a food source for them more than
Right,
likely.
right.
Yeah, that I guess is it McDowell County where you're at?
McDowell County, yes.
Yeah, and Rutherford. I know there's some activity. Well, the Appalachian Mountains, the
Right,
whole range,
right,
there is just so much Bigfoot activity
right.
all around that.
Hmm.
And how often do you guys hear, or how often do you hear Bigfoot encounters or sightings in that area?
I usually field about uh 20 encounters a month. Now they may be, hear wood knocks or they may hear sounds, occasional sightings, but usually it's just the evidence associated with Bigfoot activity in the area. And people can contact me on Bigfoot 911 and they don't have to give me their name. I don't need their name or anything. I just need to know where they were at and what happened.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, John. Do you find activity more often in certain times of the year or certain seasons?
I do. Like this time of year is prime for Bigfoot. They don't move around a lot in the summertime because it's hot and they're hot. They're covered in hair, and they don't move around a lot. But this time of year is good from like November to say the end of March, the middle of April is prime research time.
Yes. And I'm assuming too, if their food, if one of their food sources is deer, for example,
Hmm.
and they move, to find food
Hmm.
during the winter, I'm assuming that the Bigfoot as well are going to migrate some or move, to find that food as well. And
Hmm.
yeah, I guess if they're more active, you're going to have
Right.
more sightings or encounters.
Right. Now they have, as far as migrating, when I talk about that family unit, there's maybe 15 in that family unit, and they may their range is 20 to 25 miles. N- a lot of people say, well, that's migration, but no, for where it's at, it's really not. I consider migration, hundreds of miles, and they don't, they have a good enough food source and water sources and cover, because of the Appalachian Mountains, that they don't have to migrate. Everything they need is right here.
I totally agree with you. There's so much, like you said, cover, water, food sources up there and along the Appalachian Mountain
Right.
range that, like you said, they don't have to migrate really. Are there any stories that stick out to you, one or two, more than any other that you have heard?
Well, there's a place here in McDowell County called Lake James. It's a recreational slash residential area, and they're pretty thick around that area. And you know, the best, well, one of the best things that Bigfoot 911 has ever found, we wasn't even looking for. We got a report in 2018 that fishermen on the lake out in boats that were fishing along the bank were getting stuff thrown at them. And so we went out one Friday night. We didn't even take any equipment with us. We was just going to set out in the middle of the lake and see if we could hear anything. And we kind of moved toward shore about, it was after midnight. And I had a night vision camera is all I had with me. And we started hearing wood knocks. And I actually saw the Bigfoot with the camera and I actually have a picture of that. And it's on the internet. You can Google Bigfoot 911 and that picture will come up. But I took that picture and I watched that Bigfoot for 5 minutes and it just stood there swaying back and forth, back and forth. And that's probably one of the best things the best stories that I personally have been involved in. Now I have had folks tell me some really good stories about encounters that they've had in this area. You mentioned Rutherford County earlier. There's a famous Bigfoot down there called Nobby. And Nobby, there's been several sightings of Nobby in Rutherford County, which is about 20 miles from where we're at.
Right. Yeah, I remember driving through Rutherford County, coming up to Marion
Uh huh.
for the for the Bigfoot Festival
Right.
this summer. Let me go back to your comment about how long you were watching the creature.
Hmm.
Did it notice you? Did it see you at all?
Yeah, it was looking right at me and it was just swaying back and forth, kind of holding on to a tree that was standing there. And I took several pictures of that. And when we got then downloaded and looked at them, one of our team members, AJ Crawley, he got to looking at it and he took the picture and blew it up. And when he blew the picture up, you can see two young ones standing behind that one.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
So the next day, we went back to that spot and cast the prints that was there at that tree where it was standing.
Well, that's pretty awesome, John. How big were the tracks?
The prints were right at 16 inches and right at 6.5 to 7 inches wide.
So pretty large tracks.
Yeah. So I'm convinced that was a mother and two young ones standing there.
Right, right. Could you tell it what color was it?
was it was dark. It was a dark color. You can see the cone-shaped head in the picture, and it didn't. It didn't really have any hair on its face. It was like its face looked like a piece of leather, black leather. It didn't really have any hair on its face at all.
Well, did it have fairly long hair though? Everywhere else, or could you
Yeah,
tell?
it looked like, and now looking from where I was at, it looked like the hair would have been about 3 inches all over. I could see the upper part of its body, and then when it would sway out from the tree, you could see the leg.
Could you tell any type of height or gather or just estimate any type of weight on it?
Well, when we cast those prints, we did a height chart where I stayed uh, in the boat in the lake, and what we estimated was like about 7.5 feet.
Okay. So, yeah, probably from what the reports have been over the years
Hmm.
of a female size,
Right,
possibly, and that makes sense if it had 2 young ones with
right.
it. Yeah, that's pretty amazing story there.
Hmm.
Have you had any recent activity or anything that has,
Well,
popped up?
we're going out this coming Saturday to one of our research areas. I've been getting really good. I've been doing some gifting out there, and we're getting some good results with that gifting as far as getting gifts back now. So,
Okay.
so we're going to go out and kind of see where we're at there Saturday night, see if we can get any interaction with it and kind of go from there. But we've got 4 good areas going right now. And, you don't want to split your team too thin and send two, because it takes a lot to put on one of these things. You got to have your specialized people in place. I'm a firm believer that if you're going to do research, research is boots on the ground. And we are a boots on the ground team.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with you there. It's hard to do research behind a computer or
Right.
watching TV or watching documentaries, but
Mhm.
you're right. That's why I enjoy so much of listening to stories,
Mhm.
of people that get out and do the research,
Right.
And let me go back to something you said early on, and it's like you said, 15 years ago, Bigfoot was taboo. Even
Mhm.
15 years and prior
Mhm.
until some of these shows came out
Right.
on TV and made it more popularized,
Mhm.
I guess you could say. Finding Bigfoot came on, I believe, in 2010 or 11,
Mhm.
somewhere in there. And then you had prior to that a Monster Quest and Monsters and Mysteries maybe in the early 2000s. So, but yeah, a lot of people, I know you could get a lot of reports, but there's still people that don't want to talk about it or don't want to say anything to anybody because they're afraid of ridicule.
Mark, I believe that of every report we get, there's 10 that we don't know nothing about because the people are just too ashamed to they don't want to be ridiculed, they don't want to be laughed at. So for every one we get, there's 10 we don't.
Yes, there's no telling what other stories are out
Right,
there that we don't know about and probably won't ever hear.
right.
Um, well, let me ask you this, John. When you hear stories from other people, and I try not to do this, but it's just human nature, I guess. Do you kind of sift through some of the stories and say, hey, this is legitimate because you can
Mhm,
tell by the way someone's talking to you, or
mhm,
you can tell by their body language or
mhm,
their emotions.
mhm,
And then there's some that just have lots of stories
mhm.
and their emotions don't change a whole lot. Do you
Right.
see that much?
I do, and those folks that tell me a bunch of stories at a time, there's a good chance I've already heard those stories because 'cause they've been passed down, and I'm really looking for something individual that happened one time with that person, and if I can find somebody like that, I take what they say at face value, and I start researching it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because these encounters, they're rare.
Mhm.
They do happen more often than you think, of course,
Right.
and a lot of people think, but they are rare, so
Of all the time that I've been researching Bigfoot, and you can say I started when I was 12 years old because that's when my encounter started. And so I've been going for over 45 years now, and I have only seen the creature 3 times in that amount of time.
That's the ratio of I guess hours spent to time
Yeah.
seeing is a pretty big gap there. So yes, John, let's tell the listeners about the Western North Carolina Bigfoot Festival in Marion, North Carolina.
All right. The WC Bigfoot Festival started in 2018. City of Marion contacted me wanting me to do a festival. And I initially turned them down because I didn't think it would go over. I did not think that people would come to that. And they kind of kept on and kept on until I agreed to do it. And that first year, the day before the festival, I told somebody, I said, if I get 1,500 people here, I will be happy. And the next day, there was over 60,000 people filed into Marion, North Carolina for the first Bigfoot Festival. We had TV from CNN, ABC, NBC. They all had their satellite trucks set up all over town, and we got a lot of publicity out of it, and I was blown away. I was not expecting that amount of people, and neither was the emergency services here because it totally shut I-40 down. People trying to get in, it just blew me away that people came out for that. But at the same time, when I promoted it, I told everybody, I'm going to give you a venue to come talk about it, and they ain't nobody going to make fun of you. And that's why I got all those people in here. That's why I keep pulling them in because they're among people that believe. And, we have skeptics come too. And I believe that there's enough room in this world for skeptics. At the same time, we have so many believers show up and they have a good time. You were here with us last year. You saw it. People love that, having a venue they can come and tell their story.
Yeah, I totally enjoyed the festival, and there was such a good turnout. So many people, so friendly as well. And then I
Hmm.
heard tons of stories,
Yeah.
and I was standing up all day pretty much because people were coming to to my tent and
Right.
talking about different encounters or various things, and it was a good turnout. It really
Yeah.
was. I'm hoping
They estimated that this past year's crowd was 28,000.
20.
It's
Wow.
what they estimated last year's crowd at, or
What's the
this
population of Marion?
the population of Marion is right at 9,000.
So it's tripled,
Yeah,
over triple. Yeah.
right.
Wow.
The
Yeah.
population of McDowell County is only about 46,000. So,
Okay.
we bring a lot of people in to that, and we had it, COVID shut us down for 2 years, but after that, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2020, and I turned the festival over to my oldest son, and he pretty much organizes the festival now, and I do his talent for him. I book his talent to come in and speak and things like that. And I've been blessed by God to get through this cancer thing, and he done a good job. He done such a good job of that festival and continues to do so every year.
Absolutely. Yes, that's like I said, that's the first time I've been there to it, and it was so well ran and such a good turnout, and everybody was so friendly.
Hmm.
And like you said, getting you through the cancer, God's right there with you every step of the way.
Every step of the way, yeah.
Absolutely. Just trust in Him.
Hmm.
That's all you can do,
I'll tell
John.
you a good story that the first time I went back in the woods after getting through the cancer, I was walking kind of in front of everybody else, and I was thinking, do you reckon Bigfoot's looking at me saying, where you been? I've missed you, you know?
Right. Yeah. I bet it was nice to get back out too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, John, at the end of each episode, I do a rapid fire Q&A where
Okay.
I'll ask you 3 questions, and it's just the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
You ready?
Ready.
All right. Favorite Christmas movie?
A Christmas vacation?
Good one. Chevy Chase?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I've seen that one a couple of times already this year. Number 2, favorite name for Bigfoot other than Bigfoot?
The Booger Man.
Booger Man. Gotcha. That's popular in the
Mhm.
Appalachian Mountain
Right.
area.
Mhm.
Really is. All right. And number 3, what is your favorite Bigfoot TV show, past or present?
Harry and the Hendersons. It was a movie, but I really liked that.
That's a popular answer. I watched that not too long ago. It's pretty good. It really is. John, tell everybody how they can stay in touch with you guys or find you on social media to keep up with what's going on.
All right. You can get in touch with us using our email, Bigfoot911, BOBR, at gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page, Bigfoot911, and, of course, WNC Bigfoot Festival. The website for that is MarionBigfootFestival.com. And you can stay up with what we're doing as far as the festival and research.
Yes. And if anybody's listening, I would encourage you, if you're a Bigfoot fan, or if you just want to visit and check out all the vendors and what's going on, I would say, hey, go to Marion, North Carolina and check it out because it's worth it.
And Mark, we're going to open up the the program for vendors to start applying on January the 1st, and we've already had over 100 inquiries about how to get an application.
Wow. That's amazing. That's awesome. I'm sure it'll continue to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put a link in the description
Mm-hmm.
of the Facebook page for the
Okay.
festival and then the E911 Bigfoot research group as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Okay.
And John, I appreciate you coming on the show and taking
Oh,
your
Mark, I
time.
appreciate you too. I hate it took so long to get it, but
No.
I am tickled to death that I finally got to do it for you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. Really do. And thank
And
you.
I hope you'll be back with us at the festival.
If you'll have me, I will be back
Good
for
deal.
sure.
Good
Yes.
deal.
Good deal. And for the listeners, if you've had an encounter or something strange, just email us at the Cryptid Crew Podcast at gmail.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel out. Thank you for listening, and God bless.